Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for attending our SAC Sewer meeting of May 28th, 2025. And would you please call the roll, establish quorum?
Good morning. Members Desmond.
Here.
Dickinson.
Here.
Kennedy.
Here.
Orozco. Braithel.
Here.
Robles. Cerna.
Here.
Soon.
Here.
Villegas. And Chair Karpinski Costa.
Present. Thank you.
We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Maybe Director Kennedy would lead us in a pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could you please read the procedure for public comment?
Yes, good morning. This meeting of the Sacramento Area Sewer District is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Sunday, June 1st at 9 o'clock a.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County supervisors and the cities of Sacramento and Rancho Cordova council members is paid to the county and cities respectively to partially offset the costs of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered to the individuals. To make an in-person public comment, please complete a speaker request form and hand it to the clerk. The chairperson will call your name when it's your turn to make a comment. You may also send written comments by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to adjourn to a closed session. That's next. We're going to resume our meeting. There is nothing to report from the closed session. Could the clerk please call the roll, establish quorum?
Just give everyone a moment to sit down. Members Desmond.
Here.
Dickinson. Kennedy. Orozco. Pluckybaum. Rathel. Robles. Sander.
Here.
Soon.
Here.
Villegas.
Here.
And Chair Karpinski Costa.
Present.
And we do have a quorum.
And CERN is here too.
Oh, Cerna.
I know he lost so much weight you don't notice him anymore.
Cerna, I'm so sorry.
Cerna's here. Could you please read the first item into the record?
Absolutely. First item on the record is consent items numbers 1 through 4, and we do have a public comment for item number 1.
Okay.
Would you like me to call the member of the public first, or would you like to take?
Read the item and then let's call the public comment.
Item number 1 is contract number 9000328. It's to approve the Confluence Regional Partnership Program funding agreement for the Sacramento Valley Conservancy Laguna Creek Conservation Easement. And the member of the public is Steve Scheigert.
Okay, so there he is. Hi, Steve.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I'm Steve Schreier. I'm with Sacramento Valley Conservancy, and I'm just here to express my gratitude at this Confluence grant. It's a really big deal for us to have a property that we can protect with a grant, as most properties are through mitigation in this area, so we're losing something and making up for it. But this one is going to protect an important section of Laguna Creek and establish a 191-acre preserve. And I know for the Confluence program, this is a pretty big grant at $150,000, but it's also leveraging a state grant that's $2.5 million that's going to protect the ag uses that are around the property. Laguna Creek's a very important wildlife movement corridor identified in the South Sac HCP and other items such as the Watershed Council's plan. And we're going to be preserving the opportunity there to restore wetlands along the creek where it's been channelized into more of an ag ditch, and also leave it open for a future alignment of the Laguna Creek Regional Trails so we can provide public access there as well. So very excited about that. And the ag use is also very important because we're losing ag very quickly in this area. And it provides an important buffer around the creek and also the nearby vernal pool preserves. So what we're trying to do in this region, it's right off Grant Line Road and Sunrise, is establish a block of habitat that is buffered with some agricultural uses, especially along the southeast connector alignment. So this is an important part of that. It also is promoting the 30 by 30 initiatives that the state has that are addressing the biodiversity and climate crisis. So really want to congratulate you on we'll express our gratitude at this grant, and it was a critical piece in making it move forward. So once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. So let's read the rest of the items, and then we'll move the consent calendar.
Read the full. So
Yeah.
item number 2 is an application for a certificate of consent to self-insure workers' compensation liabilities. Item number 3 is delegation of authority to execute an agreement with the third-party administrator to provide claim adjusting and administrative services. And item number 4 is joint community facilities agreement with the City of Rancho Cordova for the Preserve Community Facilities District number 2025-1.
Thank you. Do any members have questions or comments on these items? If not, somebody move items 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Are we voting by machine here, or are we voting out loud?
Let's make sure that I'm waiting for Member Kennedy.
I was about to reach out.
And that item does pass unanimously with those members present.
Thank you. Next item.
Item number 5 is comments from the public on issues not on the posted agenda. We do have one member of the public, Robin Davis, who would like to provide public comment.
Good morning. I'm Robin, and I live in my tiny home on wheels on my undeveloped residential property in West Sacramento, and I'm here to request an update on your consideration of impact fee options for tiny homes. Reevaluating these fees would make it more feasible for residents to build their own affordable housing without relying on taxpayer-funded subsidies at a time when the average affordable housing unit can cost over $500,000 in public funds. Tiny homes present a cost-effective, self-funded solution. I understand there are fixed costs, but more importantly, sewer impact fee options for tiny homes would send a clear message that our region supports building smaller, more sustainable homes. By aligning fees with actual usage and scale, we can incentivize responsible development, encouraging people to build what they can afford in a way that uses fewer resources and infrastructure. Our West Sacramento Tiny Homes on Wheels ordinance goes into effect this week, so I hope the board can share an update soon. Thank you for considering these policies that empower residents and support real housing solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 6 is miscellaneous director and district engineer matters.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't see this. I apologize. I have to vision all the way over to here. Roger wants to speak.
Christoph, to that point, I'm just, can you illuminate us on what the current Sac Sewer approach is to hookups for, actually, I'm just not thinking about tiny homes, but ADUs as well?
So ADUs have always been, a single ADU has not had impact fees. I don't say always, but it's been a long time. So they haven't had impact fees. As far as the tiny homes, we've had discussions with your board several times over several years. We have been in the position of following the local land use jurisdictions as to whether and how they want to incentivize tiny homes. And so we have been in contact, in particular with the city of West Sacramento. They've been working on this ordinance and also on their fees. And so we're continually in contact with them or regularly. And so we would bring an update when there's something to update, but we haven't had anything to update as far as fees go.
Okay, thanks for that. Obviously, the interest in tiny homes is not just in West Sacramento, but across all the jurisdictions that are members of Sac Sewer. So I'd appreciate being kept posted on that.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Thanks, Chair.
You're welcome. Sorry, I didn't see your name. I moved it closer. Where were we? Item 6.
It's item number 6, the district engineer matters.
Let's see. A couple things. First of all, we have our next board meeting on June 11th, and we will just have one meeting in June and one meeting in July. So we'll get a little bit of a break there. And then I just have a couple of section managers to introduce to you today. And our first one is Anna Nicolau. She's our administrative services manager. Say hello, Anna. All right. Anna began her career with the County of Sacramento on April Fool's Day, 1996, starting as an office specialist confidential in the Department of Personnel Services Employment Office. In 1999, she transferred to the Echowater Resource Recovery Facility, where she spent the next 25 years in a variety of roles, expanding her knowledge and expertise in budgeting, accounts payable, personnel, and payroll. In 2024, Anna was promoted to her current role as an administrative services manager, where she now oversees administration, payroll, real estate, records management, and stores. One of her recent achievements was her leadership in successfully implementing the new payroll system, a testament to her dedication and leadership. And I'll just add that that was an extremely difficult project. It's hard enough to implement a new payroll system, but at the same time, we're also transitioning and becoming a separate employer as well. And Anna was really instrumental in making that happen. Lots of challenges, and it's still not completely perfect, but the payroll team is really doing a great job. And based on what I've heard in other areas where they've implemented new payroll systems, there's a lot of challenges in each of those, and I think they're kind of ahead of schedule in that regard. So kudos to Anna and her team. As Anna approaches her 30 years of service, she eagerly anticipates the arrival of her first grandchild in August. And looking ahead, she plans to retire in early 2027 and is excited to travel and embrace the next chapter of her life. And I'll just add that she's not cleared that with me yet, so I don't know about 2027, maybe a little bit later. Thank you, Anna. All right, and our second section manager, you might recognize her as the ball of energy from the last board meeting. She did the presentation on our employee engagement. This is Jennifer White. She's our training and organizational development manager. Jennifer joined the Sac Sewer in May 2022 as a senior training and development specialist before taking on the role of training and organizational development manager in May of 2023. Leading the district's training and organizational development programs has been an incredibly rewarding experience for Jennifer, allowing her to foster growth and continuous improvement across the organization. Before her time at Sac Sewer, Jennifer dedicated over 13 years to public service in San Joaquin County. She began as an eligibility worker and shelter counselor before advancing to Human Services Agency Staff Analyst 2, where she trained and supervised staff administering social service programs. In addition to overseeing administrative safety and training initiatives at the Mary Graham Children's Shelter, she was instrumental in enhancing employee onboarding at the Human Services Agency and expanding a comprehensive staff development program. Jennifer holds a bachelor's degree in human services and a master's in business. With extensive leadership and supervisory experience, she has developed impactful training programs and mentored numerous staff and supervisors. She is passionate about cultivating a healthy work environment and is committed to helping individuals reach their full potential. Outside of work, Jennifer cherishes time with her family, enjoys reading, and loves singing at her church. So she's gonna sing a few lines now. All right, maybe just a few words.
Save that for Sundays. So I thought about what I wanted to share with you all on this morning, outside of what Christoph was going to read in my bio, and it resonated really well in my spirit. Just one thought, which was to share with you all what it's really like to work at Sacramento. When I had 25 years in the private sector and in the public sector, and when I came to Sacramento, I actually interviewed for Matt. He was the hiring manager. Rosemary was on my panel, and I was extremely impressed by the two of them. And I was wondering, are they really this nice all the time? And so what I have gotten to see over the last 3 years has been absolutely phenomenal. I came here, and it was kind of like that leap of faith. Do I really want to leave, where I was? I'd been there for 13 years. And I didn't know what I was walking into. And leadership for me is extremely important, right? They're the ones that are going to drive our organization. They affect our lives every day. And it's more than just, for me, just a response. It's more than just a position. It's a responsibility, right, to serve your staff. And so I wasn't sure how they were going to show up for us every day. But over the last 3 years, as a staff, I have had the opportunity, the pleasure of seeing this team live out our core values in real life. Right? I've seen an organization put up their core values and their mission statement, but they actually live this for us every single day. We are seen, we are heard, and we have a voice. We are treated as their biggest and best resource. And I know that as a leader, also, I have always been about growth, right? And they are also there to support that. They want us to grow. They want us to be innovative. But on top of that, they care about us as just people. And I can say that they know our faces. They know our names. And for me, that has been probably the most impactful thing, is that they take the time to come to all levels of the organization and get to know each and every one of us, not just the leaders, not just the managers, right? Like that next level. They actually go through all levels of the organization, really boots on the ground style as executives. And I just felt really impressed in this moment to just say to you all that thank you for the experience I've had over the last 3 years. And I look forward to just continuing to really just partner with you guys on a lot of initiatives. But just thank you for your example. From Christoph, you are the most phenomenal leader I have ever worked for. And it resonates throughout your team. And we are very, very grateful. Thank you for your time.
Wow.
That's better than a song. Can you sing that next time?
And Madam Chair, all this time I thought it was just an act for us.
I want to thank Anna and Jennifer for coming and meeting our board up front. And thank you, Jennifer, for your kind words. I'm sure we all agree with you and your assessment of our team.
Is this Christoph's evaluation today, too?
I just slipped
Anybody
that
on the
in.
list want to say anything? Okay. Christoph, next.
Maybe all?
I'm sorry, I'm done. Yeah. Sorry. Don't have anything else. I'll end on that.
I was waiting for points on note on communications received and filed. Okay. Next item, please.
Next item on the agenda is number 7. It is AB 2561, Local and Public Employees Vacant Positions Presentation.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so we'll hear staff report, questions, and then I'll open the public hearing.
Good morning, Madam Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Candace Maber. I'm the HR manager here at Sac Sewer. Thank you. So on our agenda today, we'll be discussing a brief summary and introduction to AB 2561. We'll also briefly review Sac Sewer's 2024 vacancy stats. As you all know, we were an independent employer for only 2 weeks in 2024, so it's just a snapshot in time for us. We'll also cover a brief debut of our recruitment and our hiring efforts to date. And then I'll close out with some labor relations updates, as well as an introduction to future AB 2561 reports. So here's some language directly from the government code, but in summary, AB 2561 requires employers to present publicly the vacancies as well as challenges. The law is new. It just took effect as of January 1st of this year, so probably you guys have seen this presentation at your cities and through the county, but since it's so brand new, it's pretty vague. And so we expect that over time, the statistics will be more heavily regulated. So for the time being and for this presentation, what we did do was we reached out to LCW, our external counsel, to get some guidance on exactly what we needed to do at this point in time, especially considering the fact that we didn't have unions in 2024, whereas we do have them now, and some of our groups are represented. In addition to that, let me see if great. Okay, so this next slide here goes into some more information on the code on AB 2561. And ultimately, what it's stating is that additional stats are also required by bargaining unit. So it's not just Sac Sewer district-wide, it's also by individual employee groups. And that data includes the responsibilities for Sac Sewer includes informing the REOs of the upcoming board meeting, providing the vacancy data, and also giving them the opportunity to speak during this presentation today. Now, we did reach out to the unions, and there was not an interest to present today. Oh, my goodness, I apologize. Okay, so additional employer obligations include providing the actual vacancies, the recruitment and retention efforts, as well as any necessary changes to policy, procedures, actions across the district to fill our positions. And our presentations must be presented to all of you before you approve the budget every fiscal year. Okay. So additional obligations are triggered when and if a specific bargaining unit, and this is bargaining unit wide, reaches a total vacancy rate of 20%. So when and if they hit 20%, what we need to provide them, the additional information, includes the total number of vacancies, the total number of applicants for their particular vacancies throughout that bargaining unit, the average number of days to fill to complete the hiring process from when the position was posted, as well as any opportunities that we've identified to improve hiring and recruitment. So this slide here is pretty much the core of our presentation today. But to understand the stats here, I wanted to provide a little bit of history. So as you all know, we transitioned effective December 15th, and upon that transition, we had 97 vacancies. And that was in part because we had implemented what's commonly known as a hiring freeze. We refer to it as a hiring delay for labor purposes. But in essence, we did not allow our teams to fill positions from October 6th all the way through the transition. That was for a variety of great reasons, one being the fact that we were trying to pull together our payroll system, and another primary reason being the fact that candidates needed to, or hires rather, needed to also pass Sac Sewer's hiring process. And so in addition to whatever requirements were implemented for the county, for them to be on the county's payroll, we had to run that parallel and have that in place so that they could be on Sac Sewer's payroll. And had we not been successful with that, even with just one candidate or one employee, we would have had to lay them off. So we implemented that hiring freeze. And the reason I wanted to mention that is because that, of course, resulted in a spike in our vacancies. And then in addition to that, we took before the board on December 11th our position allocation report. And that was SacSewer's first ever position allocation report, in which your board approved our positions by department and by classification. And in that, overall, we added 20 new positions and we reallocated 17 positions. So now we jumped from the 97 to have far more. And we also, as a new employer, implemented a new applicant tracking system. And so everything that we are doing to fill positions requires a lot of back-end work. So for instance, we'd have to develop an exam for any one vacancy, and then we have to create that exam in our system because none of that existed to date. And so there's a lot of work to go into getting to a point where we could actually fill positions, and this continues to be a work in progress for us. But to date, we have filled 31 full-time positions, and 9 of those were during this rating period, this review period. We've also implemented extensive process improvements that we're very proud of, and it's part of the reason we wanted to transition in the first place, so we could just move at our own pace, HR related, and get things done more quickly for our customers and to serve our constituents. And so some of the things that we did was we streamlined the application process. I'm sure some of you are familiar with hiring processes for government, and sometimes you have to write essays to be able to hit submit on your application. We have eradicated that. We don't do that with our application process, thus making it very easy for job seekers to apply for our jobs. We've also implemented internal procedures to expedite all things hiring, so we are processing candidates very quickly. For instance, if we have an exam up and running and a hiring team says, hey, can I have a new cutoff, we could process it in live time and refer those names to that hiring manager without delay. And that is in part because of the policies that your board has approved that empowers us to actually move at that super fast pace to get things done when it comes to hiring. We also implemented extensive differences with our onboarding, our pre-employment contingencies. And so for hiring candidates, they still have to go through, in many cases, the medical evaluation. There's always a drug test, regardless of the position. And then, of course, the DOJ and or DOJ FBI backgrounds. And so we have brought on vendors that allow us to execute those activities without delay. For instance, one of the contracts that we signed with for fingerprinting for the DOJ live scan allows us to send candidates to one of 700 locations throughout the state. And they could just go in live time somewhere on a Saturday night. We don't have to call and coordinate, have them come into our office. We could just say, here's a link, figure it out, and go sign up. So that has really improved things for our hiring teams in allowing them to expedite getting candidates on board. And in fact, our processes have been so fast with all of that that it's actually created a labor issue for us, because we are obligated by law to provide unions a 10-day notice that a new hire will be attending a new employee orientation. And Jennifer, who everyone just excitedly met, runs our new employee orientation program for the district. And that program will pull in new hires immediately when they're hired. To go into that orientation. And so the problem is that we're hiring so quickly, there's no time to notice the union that we have a candidate who's going to be at a new employee orientation, for instance, the very next day after they've passed their pre-employment contingencies. So what we're doing to get ahead of that is in bargaining, we're asking the unions to waive their rights. 2 of our 4 employee groups have already agreed to that, so that we could just have a calendared date scheduled for all 3 of our locations every month, where if there's a new hire, they can just be on site and we'll authorize release time for that. So we're having to create processes to accommodate the fact that we're moving quickly, like the private sector, with hiring related activities. And specific to market competitiveness, I'm sure you all are aware of the benefit resolutions that we brought before you in recent past. So what we did with the benefit resolutions, just in brief summary, is when we transitioned our staff, we had employees from 15 different groups, 13 of which were represented. And we merged that down to initially 6 different employee groups. At the time of this calendar year, it was 6 employee groups. And so we took pretty much a best of for the benefits So it's just a brief example. If the boot allowance for one was $30 and $35 for another, and that was the highest, we went $35. It's not a good example, but in essence, that's what we did. So I wanted to point that out because we have already made a proactive attempt to be more competitive in the market and to be more desirable for job seekers with our benefit plan. We're also in negotiations with the 4 bargaining units currently, so I would imagine there may be some benefit changes that come of that. And another thing that I know you all are already aware of is our total comp study. So we do have a total comp study underway right now. It is district-wide and includes most of our district classes, and that right now is going through the bargaining process before it will come to all of you for a recommendation for implementation. So we do feel that once that is recommended and ready for implementation, that will make us just that much more marketable because we'll be that much closer to the median, if not at the median, for all of our positions. Besides that, we also are in the process of developing a very robust and all-inclusive, by all-inclusive I mean it's not leaving out any particular employees or employee groups, wellness program. So that was the one benefit that we did not take with us from the county. And the reason we didn't take it is it was tied to the county's benefits program. And so we weren't able to prioritize it immediately, but we do now have a committee that we're putting together, which includes external professionals, such as representatives from Kaiser and Western Health Advantage, as well as internal employees to work to put together our wellness program and to make recommendations for district approval. So now we'll get into some of these specific stats. Here are the stats as of January 1st when the law went into effect. And again, it's a point in time. The reason it's a point in time is because it's just a 2-week period. So in the future, it will be different. But for the sake of the 2024 year, when we were just an employer for 2 weeks, we just did a snapshot as of January 1st, the first day of the law. And so this is the district, the bargaining unit-wide stats. And we did ask the unions if they wanted to come. They were not interested. Another thing is that we didn't necessarily have an obligation to provide them this information, but we did. We did provide them all the information up front. We encouraged their partnership. I have had discussions with the union representatives, and there just wasn't an interest to come today, but there is an interest to continue working with us to get ahead of challenges and to fill positions. So the next one here, these stats here are for employee group 5. This is the one group, the professional group, which is now represented by Professional Engineers Association. This is the one group that hit that 20% threshold. So these are the stats by classification. Ironically, this is the one employee group that has the least number of classifications in the group. But these stats here, you could see that we definitely have a great need to fill associate civil engineer positions, as well as the others, which it could be rather impactful when just one position of 2 or 4 is missing. So what we've been doing to try and get ahead of this is we have a continuous exam that's open, and as I mentioned earlier, we pull cutoffs from that exam whenever requested from our hiring teams, which has proven to be very necessary because our workforce, several leadership teams, as well as that of our recruitment team, attend career fairs frequently, including targeted career fairs for the engineer field. And so in doing that, often we'll come back and say, okay, let's pull the list and refer the names because these candidates just applied and they're very eager and excited. We also have put together, or we're putting together currently, a formal work group, which will be representative of our communications team, our communications manager, public information manager, as well as that of our recruitment team. Members, we're hoping, from the association, they will be invited to participate in that, as well as subject matter experts across the district. And the intent of this is just to pull together everyone to figure out what we can do to fill these positions. What ideas does everybody have? What are they willing to do to support Sac Sewer in going to career fairs and attending events on our behalf? So we're working on that currently. There is great interest, and it seems to be that the teams are very much excited about participating in this. So we're excited about that too. We also have filled 2 positions since these stats here. So we filled 2 associate civil engineer positions. And so now in closing, we do have 4 employee groups that are now represented. We are in bargaining with all of those groups, and we will continue, as I mentioned, to work with them on all things hiring, recruitment related. We are encouraging that line of communication with the employee groups. We will also continue to notice them, and our future presentations, they will include cumulative stats for the year, not just a point in time, because a point in time can be misrepresentative of the reality of the vacancy stats for a particular union. And I think that's all that I have for all of you. Do you have any questions for me?
Questions? Looking at my list, I don't see any.
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to say thank you for the presentation. And I know Supervisor Kennedy and I, at least it seems like 10 years ago, were in a subcommittee discussing kind of what are the critical elements of moving out from underneath the county. And one of the biggest challenges, and Christoph, you spoke to this, was the workforce and the challenge of trying to work within the county system that wasn't really aligned with what we needed in terms of being nimble, in terms of figuring out how to get through the workforce, how to figure out how to create the classification specifications for the positions, the engineers, how to move very quickly, recruiting, and it's all coming together in terms of this presentation. And I know we discussed it at length in terms of why it needed to change, and here we are. So thank you very much for your work in making it happen, because the workforce is a critical part of our operation. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Is anyone here to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Now we can have comments and motions. There's a motion, a recommendation?
This item is receive and file only.
Okay.
So the next item is item number 8. It's to adopt the Sacramento Area Sewer District and the Northern California Sanitation Agency's Financing Authority fiscal year 25-26 final budget. I do have a note that our office would like to call to your attention that the recommendation for this item is being corrected officially on the record to reflect that the Northern California Sanitation Agency Finance Authority's approval is not required for this item. Additionally, the resolution for the authority has been removed from the materials packet and will not be a part of the executed materials for this item. Following today's presentation, the recommended motion for this item will be, barring no amendments, is to adopt the attached resolution approving budgets for fiscal year 25-26 in the amount of $491,173,807 for the operating budget and $638,150,597 for the capital budget.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the item? Then we have a recommendation for a motion.
So just a few remarks. We don't have a presentation for this item. 2 weeks ago, the budget was presented in a workshop.
Oh, I'm sorry. You do a presentation.
Yes, so just we're going to share a few marks. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. So this is a motion to adopt the budget. I believe it's also a hearing, right? If there
Is it a public hearing?
Is it a public hearing? I think we've had it. So if there are any comments from the public, we would have to welcome those. Okay. So there's no change to the budget that was presented 2 weeks ago. So today we're asking for the board to adopt the budget as presented about a couple weeks ago. Just some highlights. Most of our, I was just going to give a brief comments on our funding. So the majority of our budget is funded by our rates. We do have significant grants this year, so that's the second largest source of funding. Our grants team is working to get some more, but so far it's been very positive. We also anticipate to issue bonds, to issue some debt this fiscal year, particularly to help with the harvest water as it kicks into construction. So we don't expect to use all those proceeds this year. We probably will spread them over the next 3 years. So those are the main highlights that I wanted to share. Unless there are any questions, then
I'm sorry, Tepa, that I ignored you before because I got 2 sets of notes.
no worries. Thank you.
Sorry. Are there any questions or any comments? Okay, so now we open the public hearing. Any speakers?
We did not have any public comments.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing. And now we can entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt that budget.
Moved and seconded. Let's vote.
Just abstain.
You left.
Oh, okay. And that motion does pass unanimously with those members present. I will let the record reflect that Member Villegas is not present. This is not an abstention vote.
Saving the
Is there a
voice
next?
vote.
Is there a next item?
That concludes our items for today, Madam Chair.
Are there any comments by any of our members? They want to say anything in closing? Okay, then I'm going to adjourn our meeting.
Been more preferable.
Yeah, thanks, man. See you later.